is Jenna and today I'm bringing you my February and March wrap up. Before we get started though, I just wanted to give a little bit of an explanation as to where the hell I have been for the past month on Booktube. Basically, I went back to university and that in itself was difficult. Like, my uni is over an hour away and I struggle when it comes to filming videos, but my biggest issue was that I had a lot of trouble with my SD card and my camera and my laptop. They weren't talking to each other, so I would film things, then I couldn't get them on my laptop in order to edit, and then I just didn't have room on my SD card, so it just wasn't working for me. So eventually when I finally did get it fixed, I had to quickly pre-film all my Dry Cora Week videos, and I also had to keep up with my videos that I do for the 100, but like I'm behind in that as well. But now everything's fixed, so I can sit here and I can talk to you guys about books, which I am really excited about. So because I missed my February wrap up, I decided to include it in my March wrap up, and instead I'm gonna do a different video for my TBR, which is odd and I've never done that before, so I'm curious to see how this goes. So we're gonna start with my February wrap up. Now in February I only managed to read 2 books, which is a little bit sad, but I mean I had a lot of trouble like in the beginning of the year. January I read hardly anything, February I only read 2 books, but then we get to March, and in March I read 8 books, so March kind of made up for everything. So the first book that I read in February was The One Memory of Flora Banks by Emily Barr. This book was the February book of the month for the YA Circle, which is a book club that I am involved with. I gave this book a 2 out of 5 stars. I was not very impressed with it. It follows a girl named Flora who is like an amnesiac. She can only remember things up to a couple of hours and then she forgets everything, and while it had a really good premise, I just did not think it was executed well. I didn't enjoy it. I hated the characters. It read so I just didn't like it. There was a lot about it that I didn't like, and I just didn't like it at all. The next book that I read in February was actually a reread, and that was Passenger by Alexandra Bracken. I don't have the physical copy with me because I actually lent it out to my grandmother. She's reading the duology because she seems to love all the books that I do, which is just awesome. She's turning 90 in like a month, guys, so she is like the best grandma ever. Basically, I loved this book just as much as I did last time. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Yeah, I just loved it, and of course I reread it in preparation for Wayfarer, which came out the end of January? Yeah, I think it was the end of January. So that's all that I read in the month of February. Now we're moving on to what I read in the month of March. So the first book that I read in March was of course Wayfarer by Alexandra Bracken, and oh my goodness, I loved this book so much. So I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was a fantastic conclusion to the series. It was the first duology I have literally ever read in my life, so I wasn't sure how it was all going to wrap up and whether it was going to wrap up well, but it did. The pacing issues that I had with the first book were not present in the second one. The book was paced perfectly. The characters that we met were just so lovely, and of course the fact that we were basically following 2 different storylines but then they converged together at the end, and it was just so good, and I just loved it so much, and I really loved this book. Then I read Everything by Nicola Yoon. This book is about a girl named Maddie who is allergic to everything in the world basically, so she cannot leave her house for fear of dying, which sucks. But I actually found out this one was being turned into a movie starring Amanda Sternberg and Nick Robinson, both of whom I absolutely adore. So when I watched the trailer for the film, I automatically went, yeah, I need to read this book. So I picked it up, read it, loved it. Like, I really enjoyed this book. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and I'm really excited to see this movie now because it had a twist ending that I kind of saw coming but also kind of didn't, but like it was a really well done story and I absolutely loved it. I then read the first book that I had to read for university this year, and that was Bette Midler by Jenna. Obviously this is not the kind of book that I would normally read. It's like a romance novel, one of those small paperback ones, and yeah, it's a romance, and I don't really do the romance thing, so I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars because while I don't really do the romance thing, it wasn't a terrible book, and I did find that I ended up enjoying it. I ended up wanting the main characters to get together, which is basically what a romance is all about and what it's supposed to do. So the fact that I wanted them together means that it probably did what it was, you know, designed for, but at the same time, like, I mean, look at that cover. That is not me. That is not the sort of book I would like or want to read. I then read Carve Up by Stephanie Garber. This one was the March book of the month for the YA Circle. I ended up absolutely adoring this book. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I actually listened to half of it on audiobook and the rest I actually read, and it was really interesting because when I went to the YA Circle meeting, we were literally split down the middle. Like, half of us loved the book and the other half of us absolutely hated the book, which I found really interesting because yes, when they were talking about it, I could see some of the issues that they had with it, but personally I just absolutely loved it. I loved the plot. The plot was very interesting for me. So this book is about a girl named Scarlett, and basically she attends Carve Up, which is this big game sort of thing that the audience participates in, and it happens over the course of 5 nights, and basically you you win something if you win the whole night. And when Scarlett goes, she finds out that her sister Tella is actually the one who is, well, she is the prize basically. And it was just a really fun read for me. I absolutely adored Julian. I think one of the reasons I loved him so much was in the audiobook he has like this really awesome accent, which just made me love him just all the more. And because of that, I really enjoyed this book. And I didn't know reading it that it had a sequel. So when I got to the very ending and it sort of set up for a sequel, and I went, whoa, what? Was not expecting that. So I'm like hanging out for the sequel to this book. The next book that I read was actually another reread. The first time I read this book was back in 2012 when I was in year 12. I actually studied it for my independent study class. Independent study project for my English class, and that is 13 Reasons Why by J. Asher. I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars, which is exactly what I gave it when I read it 5 years ago. The reason I wanted to reread this book obviously is because of the Netflix series that has just premiered. I still haven't watched the Netflix series, I just haven't had the time, what with uni and YouTube and everything in between, but I'm really worried about it because I know they were advertising it as a mystery, and it's not a mystery. It's a really like powerful, hard-hitting novel all about mental illness and suicide, and I'm worried about the series, but everyone's been saying that it's been really good. But I really hope that they do this book justice, because this book is absolutely amazing. I was reading it on public transport though, so I was like crying my eyes out because it's a really hard-hitting book to read, but it's one that I recommend to literally everyone because I think it's a really important one that everybody should read. Following on from my really depressing read, I then decided to pick up A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. Now, A Monster Calls is a book that I have seen talked about so much on Booktube. I mean, like, so much on Booktube. It's actually ridiculous. But I can see why. So I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars because, again, it just was so hard-hitting, but also a story that I think really needs to be and deserves to be told. So basically, it's about a little boy who this monster comes to him at night because his mother is dying from this illness, and it's just really horrible to read because it's so hard-hitting. Like, it's a very short book. It only has like 200 pages. Okay, yes, it's a little bit bigger than I thought. So it's only about 200 pages. It only took me like a day to read, but I sobbed pretty much the entire way through it because it was so heartbreaking, but done so beautifully. The writing was amazing, and also there were like these incredible images in it as well, which I didn't actually realize there were going to be, and then there's just images like this, and you're just like, wow. But I can definitely see why it's won so many awards, and I'm actually really excited to see the movie of this one as well once I finally get my hands on it. The last 2 books that I read this month, I read as part of a read-along that I was hosting during Dracora Week. So of course I'm talking about Akane and Raelia, both by Lynette Noni. My ratings for these 2 books haven't changed. They still got 5 stars. I absolutely adore them. I read them, like I said, during Dracora Week with the read-along that I was hosting. We were reading them in anticipation for Dracora, which is coming out and is out now, which is so exciting. So yeah, I think I've talked about these books like a gajillion times in this channel, so we probably don't need to talk about them again, but like, they're amazing and you should read them. So there we go. Those are the 2 books that I read in February and the 8 books that I read in March. I am actually really happy with all of these books. I managed to not get ahead of my reading goal exactly on Goodreads, but I'm definitely like catching up to it thanks to the amazing reading month that I had in March. I think it definitely helped that I started reading like really short books. Like, I think a lot of those books were pretty short. Actually no, some of them are quite large. I don't know, maybe I just got better at reading this month. Let me know in the comment section below what books you read in February and March. I would absolutely love to know. Also, let me know if you have read any of these books and let me know your thoughts, especially with Carve Up. I'm really curious about that book because I know that it split my book clubs in half so significantly. If you like this video, be sure to give it a huge thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing. Stay random. Bye.